What's up, guys? Welcome into Boxing Scene Today. Top stories. I am Chris Algieri. Next to me is the Magic Man, Paulie Malignaggi. And man, we gotta open up the show right away with the Naji Lopez.
The live edition. We're back, guys.
We're back.
We're not every day, but we're most days. Some days we gotta travel. Some days we gotta go in a different direction. But we're giving you live when we can, when we're here in the studio. So today we're live. Tomorrow we got some shows for you. We're not live because tomorrow we got to travel to California for the big Lester Martinez showdown on Saturday.
But we still got stuff for you guys to check out. So
we always got material. They always got content. Yeah. We always like the lives and the live chat. So chat along. I don't know how this thing is, if this thing is even on, but yeah, they got this screensaver on here. I don't even know what they did here. I love how this thing is right next to me and it's just got a black screen. That's awesome. All right, well, I'll check on my phone. But send your comments. I'll check on everything, man.
Yeah, he's our resident comment checker and responder. But yeah, all week we are going to be traveling, so we're not going to be in studio this week, but we are going to have our live shows later in the week from some pretty cool places, which I don't want to let the cat out of the bag just yet. But we're coming off a big weekend. Naji Lopez, Fight of the Year candidate. Definitely the first place right now for Fight of the Year. Naji Lopez versus Manuel Gallegos, which if you didn't see, go check it out. I mean, absolute war, back and forth fight. Tremendous night of fights. Packed house, too. So ProBox TV is growing, and we keep putting on these kind of 50-50 all-action fights, and people are taking notice. So definitely go check that fight out.
Waffle Boda said, Ramirez going to get paid for the robbery against Dominic Valle? Yeah, he got paid.
Why would he not get paid?
Why would he not get paid? He definitely got paid.
Definitely got paid.
You get paid when you fight. Now, the decision, of course, yeah, that guys, we want to just know. We work the broadcast. We did, when there's a bad decision, we also bring it out on the broadcast as we did.
Yeah,
on Friday. But, Naji also getting a lot of love. We appreciate you guys in the comments as well, letting us know your thoughts on these things. We assume, you think of the Naji Lopez fight like we think about it as a Fight of the Year candidate. It was certainly an all-action fight, and the live in the arena was such an atmosphere. I mean, that finish, the decibel level was so high. It was really something. What an explosive fight.
Yeah, and if you weren't there, you couldn't. We kept saying it on air. I mean, the power punches these guys were throwing, like, you could feel them. It was palpable, and the crowd was I mean, off the charts. We're gonna welcome in Naji Lopez here. He's actually gonna join us on the show today. Naji, welcome, brother.
What's going on, man?
What's up? How we feeling? Coming off that insane fight on Friday night.
I feel great, man. I feel wonderful, man. I feel blessed, man.
How's that eye?
Man, the eye's good. The eye's definitely good. Got a few stitches right here, but we good.
Okay.
Satchel Paige says we got to get him a couple of pairs of binoculars. He said, I think everyone walked through Gallegos for the most part. No. He actually beat Khalil Cole, then
he
Khalil
dropped
Cole
Khalil Cole 3 times and stopped him.
Yeah, and then Khalil Cole beat him in the rematch. But he was giving Pacheco health. He got hit with that body shot, right?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, the cut was from a headbutt with the Lopez fight. Honestly, I really am not. I'm not convinced that Gallegos is that competitive if there's no blood on Naji's head. But that's something for Naji, right? We got you out here.
We got you.
For Naji to work on for the future as well. It was a decision making thing more so than a talent thing. Because talent wise, I think Naji showed in the first round that this was a different level. It was not until the blood was exposed that even Naji was forced to fight at a little bit of a closer range. Because I'll explain to you guys at home. At range, when the blood is in your eye, when you're fighting at middle to long range, it's a lot more difficult to see the punches coming. So sometimes when you fight at close range, it's safer because the shots can't get as much leverage on them.
You know where the guy's at. You know where he's at.
Yeah, exactly, Naji. Yep, exactly. And I was explaining that a little bit in the broadcast, where that's why you weren't using that lightning jab anymore. You were sort of pawing with it so you could, sort of suck Gallegos in and then be able to make him pay for drawing something.
Another thing too, I feel like with a guy like Gallegos, tough guy, came to lay it on the line. I feel like him seeing that blood, it just gave him that confidence.
Yeah.
It gave him a whole nother deal of confidence. And I felt like I had to take that away from him. So I feel like the whole dynamics of the fight changed.
I think ultimately though, whether there's criticism or whether there's praise, I think it's a fight that makes you be in the discussion regardless. One of the things that the fighters, I think, that necessarily do need is to be a part of the discussion. I think the fan bases are all talking about this fight, and talking about you, whether the opinions are one way or the other. It was a fight that generated a lot of opinion on Friday night. Wouldn't you agree, Naji?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you know, I said it on the telecast, and I spoke to you afterwards, Najee. I said that was the best version of Manuel Gallegos we've ever seen. He was in fantastic shape. I just had a long conversation with our boss Gary Jonas about that, and how he actually helped facilitate some of the training of Gallegos, so he was going to be in good shape. You know, he was in Vegas for a month prior to the bout, getting great sparring out there. You're sparring with David Morrell, who's a guy that now you are going to possibly be in discussions around the weight class now. He's got a big fight coming up with Callum Smith. So, yeah, that version of Gallegos, you know, whoever this guy who's saying other guys walked over him, which is not true, doesn't matter. The version that showed up, this guy was in dog shape, because you were hitting him with body shots that I couldn't believe he withstood, because he's been stopped to the body before. It seems like he could potentially have been weak to the body, but no. With the way you were cracking him, he's not weak to the body. He just wasn't in the shape that he was in this past Friday night. So, I mean, listen, it takes two to tango. Both you guys were in awesome shape. You know, to get a fight of that kind of performance, you both had to be in great shape.
Najee, I want to ask you a question from one of the comments. He says, "Ask Tom."
We lost Najee, but what's
we lost Najee. All right, well, if we get him back on, we'll ask him some questions. The comment was for Najee. If Tom London wants to know how was his eyesight after having an early cut. And he wants to know if the size of the ring affected the ability to stay awake. Now, I saw Najee also mention that the ring felt small.
Yeah, it's the first thing he said when he came to the desk.
You know, from the outside, it didn't look like any different size of a ring than we've had before.
I don't think it's any smaller than we normally have.
I've heard, you know, comments in the comment sections from people, and then Najee mentioned it as well. I'm wondering if there was a change in the ring size. I mean, it didn't look like it, but that many people are talking about it.
Very, very sneaky. Very, very sneaky.
Yeah, I'm wondering.
That would be a Gary Jonas move.
Yeah,
to make the ring smaller so you're more engaged.
Black 99 said Corrales versus Castillo. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Yeah, and drummer against it said Gallegos was fantastic too. So
yeah,
you know, people are appreciative of the fight.
And if you notice, when Gallegos left the ring, first of all, Gallegos was got raised above everyone's heads, and the fans gave him a lot of love. They were screaming Mexico. He was getting cheered. He walked out with his chin held high, which I think he should. He fought like a warrior. Went out on his shield, gave it his all. He was in there with a better man. Naji Lopez is just a better fighter, and he showed him that. And Naji himself, we got to speak to him, and he said that he was able to. He felt like he broke Gallegos' will. But man, it took a while. It was a scrap.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you guys, and remember to comment, like, subscribe to ProBox TV and Boxing Scene. It really is. We really appreciate all the support and the engagement we get. We use, especially when we get to do these lives. Like I said, we strive to do them as much as we can. We have travel dates and we have other things we have to do with the network. Of course, as it's a growing network. Thanks to you guys, it's a growing network. So like, subscribe, comment. And we, again, appreciate the engage with us. We're trying to work on getting Najee back. That damn Wi-Fi at Plant City, huh?
Yeah, it's always been an issue. But I got a question, Champ. Let's see what you think about this. You know, this fight. Does this go down? Is this worthy of being fight of the year? Is this a modern classic? Is it that level of fight?
I think it is. I think it is. So far, I think it's a front runner for fight of the year. In my head, right now, off the top of my head, I'd say Ball Figueroa and this fight. Ball Figueroa has more important because it was a world title fight, but I'm not sure it had quite the dramatics of this fight. It had the dramatics, of course. It certainly is. That's why I mentioned it alongside this fight. But I think this fight, in terms of excitement value, might even surpass it as far as the action is concerned. But Ball Figueroa was a championship fight, so it's still a possibility to surpass it in that way. But
I heard a question recently. Someone asked. I thought it was an intriguing question. What makes for a all-time great fight? What makes for a modern-day classic? What is it? What is it? What are the variables that need to be involved for a fight to go to that next level?
Skill, will, heart, and of course, will and heart only come into play when both fighters are of such a level that they force each other to go down to the will and the heart, because you want to see the skill level, obviously, because you can appreciate good fighters, but then the heart and the will that comes into play if both guys are upping each other's levels and competing to the point where they're making one another uncomfortable, so that level, those other characteristics have to come into play in a fight like this. And then those guys show those things, because you can be put in a position to show those things and then not show them. Sometimes you fold or break, so and I think that's why this fight was such a modern classic. It was a lot of skill.
You always talk about that, like some fights that end early, you're like, man, we missed out on a classic. And I think a good one we always brought up was Daniel Jacobs and Peter Quillen, a fight that probably, if it went rounds, would have been a really, really good fight. But he bowls him out in 1 round, so we don't get it.
Sometimes that happens, and that's the thing.
Which I was worried about in this fight, too. I had a feeling this fight was going to be a good fight. I didn't think it was going to be this good. But I was like, I could see how Najee might just blow him out, just because how good he looked in the first round. But the truck is telling me that we actually have a highlight package so we can actually see what happened during that fight. We talk about some of these things that do make for a modern day classic. And I was going to mention some kind of casual things, like both guys bleeding. Both guys knocked down, So you saw the skill in the first round from Najee Lopez, who came out absolutely on fire. He gets headbutted in the second round, blood open, and then that uppercut in that first round, man. But also the way Gallegos took these shots. Yeah. I mean, just
and also made Najee uncomfortable, right? Pushing Najee. Gallegos is always a guy who's very physical.
Yes.
He's not going to be more talented than you, but he's going to bring you to a point where he forces you to engage, or you start engaging a lot. Look at defense there in this clip by Gallegos as well.
Listen, you're sparring. He's been sparring with David Morrell in Las Vegas. You're gonna have to move your head, and Gallegos showed up, being able to move his head this fight, which we haven't really seen him in the past do that so much. But
and also when Gallegos is hit, because he's hittable, he shows up and he fires back and tries to make you uncomfortable. You see all these clips, Gallegos coming forward, trying to make Najee uncomfortable, trying to force Najee into uncomfortable spots and into situations where he might make mistakes. That was a whiff, swing and a miss there.
And Champ, you mentioned the ring size. Well, I think something that has been kind of
good body shots there by Gallegos.
That was very good. That has been looked over is the fact that these are really big light heavyweights. They're both 6'3". Yeah. These are big, long guys. Maybe that was part of it too. When Najee when he was feeling the pressure of a Gallegos, even though the ring probably wasn't small.
One thing Gallegos, I think, is in good right hand there by Gallegos. Another thing Gallegos isn't given credit for is his ability to make the ring smaller. His ability to make you feel like you're in tight quarters constantly by taking away space. And again, the discomfort, how you react to discomfort, really says a lot about what's going to happen. This is where Najee gets dropped. This was crazy because it looked like Najee was about to drop Gallegos. Gallegos, I felt like if there was
going for a finish.
If there was no ropes behind Gallegos, he would have fell. Instead, he was going down, bounces off the ropes, and comes back springing with a right hand and drops Najee in that shot. And that was a crazy moment in the fight as well.
Here it is again, right
there
here.
it is again. He bounces right off the ropes and boom.
Pops his head off.
That
shot
line. Prior where he just got hit, I feel like there was no ropes. He's going down there, He bounces off the ropes and uses that momentum to actually drop Najee.
Then, so this was a strange moment. We
clash of heads.
Which was an amazing
raising
call
eye by Chris Young, because right after it so quickly was a kind of a slap right hand that Gallegos landed, and good on Chris Young not to call it a knockdown. Good on Chris Young to see the headbutts. But here's the final flurry here. Najee's finishing ability here was crazy, It was really...
to do that late in round 8 when they've both been fighting at such a high clip was really, really impressive.
It goes to show you Najee put it on the line there, because if Najee doesn't get the finish there, he might blow himself out. And not having enough left in 9 and 10. He may punch himself out here, because he really threw a lot of shots in his closing salvo in the 8th round.
But I thought that I felt like watching them in the 7th round, even though Najee had just got knocked down, it seemed to me some of the wind was out of the sails of Gallegos.
It was.
He seemed to be wilting.
I
think Najee felt that.
But you throw punches like this, if you don't get the finish, bro, you gotta. That's a tough recovery.
That's you're out in the middle of the ocean and you got to swim back.
Najee popped back on.
Najee, Champ just brought up a really, really good point. Can you hear us, bud?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I can hear you. Najee just brought up Paulie just brought up a really, really good point. When you really went for it there in that 8th round, you were going for the finish, obviously, but that's a situation where if you don't get the guy out of there, you got to deal with just throwing all those punches, out of your system, and you got to recover. Did you feel like he was weakening, and it was like this is your time to get it done?
I feel like in the 7th round, right before he dropped me, I had him on the hook. I knew I still had him hurt, and I knew I had to finish him.
Yeah, I felt like in the 7th round as well. I could see him wilting, and you were stepping up.
even when he hit me with that shot, I got back up and I told him I got to keep the pressure on. I got to keep the same pressure on. So
the intensity.
Yeah, dude, you didn't even break eye contact. You went down from that and literally kept staring at him as you walked back. Like, no, I'm not letting you off the hook here, bro.
No. He wasn't getting off the hook at all. I wasn't letting him off the hook at all.
Tom London in the comment section had asked me, did the size of the ring have any effect? You mentioned after the fight you felt the ring was small. Some of the comments have mentioned that. From the outside looking in, we didn't really catch that, but was there something with the ring, or was it just Gallegos making the ring feel smaller, or was it just something that was randomly a smaller ring than usual?
I mean, it was a pretty small ring when you got two guys at 6'3", 6'4", and they're 175. That ring was small.
Yeah.
That ring was small.
And it gets smaller with an all-out pressure guy, right? Like Gallegos.
Absolutely.
I brought that up. You guys are big light heavyweights. 6'3", 6'4". You guys are big, and you got a guy like Gallegos who doesn't take a backward step. Yeah, he can make a regular size ring feel real tiny. So that was part of it.
We got one comment saying, well, one guy says, I'm just someone 7'9" says, holy cow, Paulie, letting Chris talk without interrupting. Why do I interrupt you a lot, Chris?
I don't know. I mean, I think we interrupt each other quite a bit, and
we're New Yorkers. What are we gonna do? We talk a lot.
Guys just typing, man.
Guys, some guys are saying if ProBox only had the Zufa budget, what kind of fights would they make? And then somebody's mentioning that a lot of the fighters Zufa's using have been taken from the places we've gotten these fighters. Some of the Zufa fighters.
We need a Zufa budget to put on good fights. Look at the fights we've been
we have the know-how so far. If we keep making a good fighters. We still got great fighters on that do come on, and Najee's one of them. Najee, another guy that's been mentioned here, we didn't mention earlier when we spoke to you, Anthony Yard.
Oh, Anthony Yard.
That'd be an amazing fight. Amazing fight. Amazing.
That was a good.
I like Anthony Yard. He's just a very fun fighter. He's very aggressive.
That was by Robin Soto in the comment section. He mentioned Anthony Yard. Good name to bring up, Robin Soto.
That is a good name. Najee, you're going to be traveling over to San Bernardino for the Lester Martinez fight. Why are you going over there? What's the reasoning behind that?
Just to show my face after a fight like that. Just stick around and with the fans, stick around in the crowds, and just also to root Lester on him. I'm definitely counting on him to win that fight, and just being there just to watch the fight in general, man. Lester is one hell of a fighter. He's a very entertaining fighter. So, I just want to enjoy the fight.
Yeah, last year, you guys fought around the same time as well. Lester fought what many people thought of was like a fight of the year type fight with Christian Bile. Obviously, he got the draw that night, didn't get the victory. But now it's like you fought first this time. You put on the fight of the year type situation, and now he's going to be fighting right after you.
Right.
Najee, another thing, maybe you know this answer. We never quite figured it out. Jesus Cruz 2206 says, what was Gallegos' trainer mad at? I don't understand. What was Gallegos' trainer mad at after the fight? When he came in, he was
hot.
Angry. He was hot about something. Did you ever catch that? What was their issue?
I think he was probably mad at the ref for calling it off, but I mean, your guy was done.
No, that was a good stop.
I think he pushed the ref or something. I don't know. I wasn't sure. I was just.
And honestly, Chris Young tried to let Gallegos. He gave Gallegos all the time.
We thought he was going to stop it sooner. We thought he could have stopped it sooner. He just let it go. I thought Christopher Young did a fantastic job from
even the headbutt.
He was done. He was done.
Yeah, and also even the headbutt. When he caught that, when you went down from the headbutt, because Gallegos lands a slapping right hand right after the clash of heads, and you take a knee. A lot of referees would have just caught the slapping right hand and called it a knockdown. That was a super sharp eye on the part of Chris Young to catch that clash of heads first, because that's really
that's my guy.
Yeah, I mean that was a really good catch from Chris Young. A lot of referees, bro, they wouldn't have caught that. They would not have caught that.
Najee, when you guys had that second clash of heads there, when he got cut, when you had that little bit of a flash knockdown, were you rocked at all from the headbutt? Because I've been rocked in fights from clash of heads, and you guys were both, because it did look like Gallegos was a little bit. His legs looked a little unsteady, but he's a warrior and kept punching, and you guys are just throwing bombs. But
I can't say I was rocked in that moment. I was just focused. Yeah. I was focused. I knew what I had to get done. Like we was deep. Yeah, we was deep in the fight. I just had my eyes on one thing, and I was just like I said, just keep that intensity on, keep that pressure on, because that's right after I got knocked down.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
exactly.
I wanted to keep that. And then even that, like me slipping again, I felt like that gave him a little bit more confidence. So I'm like, okay, I got to step it up, put a little bit more intensity on.
Naji, Brambo 7975 is asking, what was your mindset when you first noticed a cut on the eye? What went through your mind?
How the fuck am I going to adjust to this? Because it was early.
Second round.
Yeah, I mean, we were kind of thinking the same thing watching it.
Yeah,
but maybe
it was the second round, man, and like instantly it was just bad. Like it was bad. Instantly. So I'm like, man, I gotta adjust.
What was the thought of the fight ending before 4 rounds crossing your mind? Was the thought of a no contest crossing your mind?
Yeah,
we thought
no.
Really?
Nah.
See, that's the thing, man.
Yeah, we were thinking it was.
We're thinking like older guys. Like
when I went to the ref the first time, I knew what it was for, just to check out the cut, whatever the case. The second time, I'm like, please.
Yeah.
That way it crossed my mind then, but I'm like, please don't call it.
Yeah, because then what happens is the problem is that cut can cost you rounds.
Yeah.
If you don't see, now you may start to lose rounds, and then it passes that 4-round threshold, and now you're going to the scorecards. And like, sort of for example, in the Tim Zoo fight with Fundora, I felt like they tried to gut it out. Now you pass the threshold of a no contest, but now you're continuing to fight, and the blood is so much in your face that you're losing rounds. Now you go to the scorecards and you're screwed. You know.
I don't feel like I was down on the scorecard.
No. But the threat of you being down on the scorecards is in round two.
Or like this,
because in round two, you don't know how bad that cut is going to keep evolving, because you're going to get hit with punches. It comes from a butt, so but it's going to be ruled from a butt. But that doesn't mean punches can't keep opening it up worse now. That's an open wound. So the blood may continue. It may open up more. It may force a stoppage in the 7th round. But by the 7th round, maybe that cut. In other circumstances, I don't feel like you were behind either, but it could happen that it's costing you rounds, and by the time they stop the fight, now you wind up behind on the scorecards. I felt like that's what happened to Tim Zoo with Fundora the first time.
Yeah.
Naji, what's next? You know, we know Gary Jonas has ideas of where he wants to go next for you, but where do you want to go? Like, who do you want to see? Do you have anybody on the hit list that you're targeting?
Man, just whoever's in front of me, man. I just want to just keep like I'm on a ladder, man. Me and Mark, we definitely got a game plan. We got a strategy. We got a whole blueprint of how we want this thing to look, and I just want to keep getting better, and just keep fighting guys that's gonna help me get to that next level.
Yeah, light heavyweight is a little bit of a top-heavy division. We've got you've got the Better Bievs and the Bivolves up there. You got the David Morrells, the Callum Smith type guys, but you know there's a little bit of a lack of name recognition once you get past that. So you know you're now entering the fray with all those big names.
We got some fans here, Naji. Brambo 7975 says, I live in Birmingham, Alabama. Can ProBox please do a Georgia showcase in ATL featuring Naji, Norman Jr., and Montgomery? I'll gladly attend with my family. they want to see you in the homecoming, Naji.
Yeah, back at home. That's coming soon, man. Coming soon.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
We got Montgomery fighting on our card this weekend. No, coming up in a couple weeks actually. But
the 28th, right?
Yes.
28th.
Beach card.
Yep. But Naji, thank you for the time, man. Really appreciate it.
Thank you guys, man. It's always a pleasure.
Naji, good stuff, man. Keep up the good work. We'll see you soon.
We'll see you in San Bernardino.
Yes, sir.
Man, he's what a refreshing.
Yeah, right now he's like Will Ferrell in Wedding Crashers. Just living the dream.
Yeah, but he's still,
now he's picking up all the momentum, all the love from the fans.
Still seems so locked in.
It's a great time.
Too.
Oh yeah,
he's not
locked in.
He's not reveling
satisfied.
in it yet.
Yeah. You know, you could never be satisfied or you stop being hungry. But certainly living the dream.
I like to tell guys, you know, when they're going through this, because you know I went through this and I didn't enjoy it at all. The satisfaction was never there.
Locked in, yeah.
I didn't enjoy the moment. I tell these young guys when they're coming up, like, yo man, enjoy this. This is fun. This is not gonna last forever. Enjoy the ride. You know, every once in a while, take a moment to kind of look around and be like, man, I did this, because you know you blink and it's gone, and then you're thinking back on it. But you got to enjoy the ride too.
Absolutely. That's part That's part of it, man. Moving on to the weekend, Saturday night. The next night we had a Golden Boy card.
Yep.
Arnold Barbosa dominates Sims by unanimous decision. I thought he made it a lot easier. I mean, it was a lot easier than expected because he was actually the underdog and he winds up winning. Yeah, he was. Really? He was a plus 190.
Wow.
How's that for the degeneracy?
I would have bet that.
Yeah.
I had a feeling Barbosa was going to win. Yeah. He's just too big, because we talked about that on the show last week. Barbosa moving up from 40 to 47, but he was fighting another 40-pounder. So it's not so it's an easier way to transition into a new weight class. You're fighting a guy who's not really from that weight class either. But Barbosa, he looked good. They really did look like they were in different weight classes, the two of them. Sims still looks like a 40-pounder, and Barbosa went out there. He boxed really smart. And Sims is a guy who he has losses on his record. He's got a draw on there too, but it's always really, really tight. Like the Duarte fight, majority
Nobody
decision.
beat him the way Barbosa beat him.
No, that's the most dominated that Sims has ever been defeated. So Barbosa, did a nice job, showed some boxing skills, letting those hands go at times, and controlling the space.
Barbosa still got it. Where does he put himself here? Because you're at he's a Golden Boy fighter.
Yep.
Ryan Garcia has the WBC welterweight title.
He called out Ryan at third.
And I feel like Barbosa's name recognition fits the bill for a Ryan Garcia fight. I would really be interested in that fight, especially the way Barbosa just looked. I feel like I would be excited to see a fight like that. I know they also mentioned him for maybe Curiel or who's the kid who beat Jojo Diaz the other night? Rocha, but I don't know. That doesn't move me.
The Rocha Ryan fight is I have no interest.
Yeah, because Rocha didn't really create a demand for himself.
I could see a Curiel Ryan fight. I think is a good fight. Mm-hmm. I think a Barbosa Ryan is a good fight. Mm-hmm. If I had to guess or bet which one that was going to be, I think it would be Barbosa. I think he would get it. I think he would get it. Yeah. I think he would get the fight. I'm not saying he'd win the fight. I said he'd get the fight.
No, but I feel like Ryan against Barbosa is a good fight because Barbosa already has that name recognition. He's done it. He's been in with big names. He just came off the Lopez fight.
He beat Jack Catterall, but that's a good win.
Did he beat Linares as well?
I don't think he fought Linares.
Okay.
No,
but
but Ramirez.
Ramirez, yes. Ramirez,
that's what JC Ramirez.
So
yes.
he's listen,
which was like a rivalry.
And this performance here puts him in that level where it's like, okay, he's still got it. He looks sharp. He won as an underdog, and dominated as an underdog. Mm-hmm. And Ryan's fresh off a great performance. Now Barbosa's fresh off a great performance. They're both in the same promotional stable. Barbosa has a name recognition that crosses over, unlike your Rochas or your Curiels. Yeah, and Curiel's a good fighter, but he's not been in with high-level names like Barbosa has, and so you don't have a lot of comparison. With Barbosa and Ryan, if Ryan's able to beat Barbosa, you have comparisons. Barbosa was in against Catterall, he was in against Teofimo, and so on and so forth, with JC Ramirez, and so on and so forth. And again, I'll reiterate, Barbosa looked good. So it's a fight worthy of moving you into a title fight. And remember, Barbosa's never been a world champion, so he's a good fighter who's never been a world champion.
Right,
so
he's one of those guys.
It would be a big opportunity for him to take on Ryan Garcia, who also himself is in a hot position right now.
Also be big money too.
Of course,
Ryan, you're getting paid.
Of course, big money, and also it's a fight that would interest boxing fans. So sometimes Ryan's fights, he's a big star. You could put him against anybody and it'll sell, right? But Ryan against Barbosa is actually a good fight, I feel like. It's actually, from a boxing fan's perspective, a fight that would be appreciated.
Yeah. Also, you mentioned that night, Jojo Diaz, a guy that we're very familiar with, fought on the card, lost a decision to Rocha.
Even at welterweight, Jojo don't get stopped. He knows the way around the ring.
In his last three fights, 3 different weight classes. 135, 140, 147, his last three fights.
Z Pacino says, fight Rocha to sell out another Cali crowd, then feed him to Ryan or another champ. I mean, Barbosa, I don't think is food for anybody. I mean,
was he saying Rocha or Barbosa?
No, saying fight Rocha first to sell another Cali crowd and then feed him to Ryan or another champ. I mean, listen, I think Barbosa will be an underdog against the champs, but he wouldn't be a gimme against the champ. I don't know if he's necessarily food. I think Barbosa's a complicated guy to fight. He's got good
skills. He's in shape.
He's good size welterweight as well.
Yes, he is.
It was.
Which in hindsight, the Teofimo Lopez win was very impressive.
No, Dr. Boxing Talk says Curiel beats Ryan, so they'll keep him away.
Plus, I like that fight because I think Curiel is dangerous.
Yeah,
very dangerous. I think he has.
But does Curiel have the name recognition of a Barbosa at this point? Barbosa's name has traveled for a while, and finally he broke through.
No, Curiel's more. He's like an insider's pick.
Yeah, he's like a local phenomenon right now who's got a breakthrough, which is a lot of a lot of what Barbosa was for a while, right?
Yes.
For a lot of while, Barbosa couldn't break through. He was a local phenomenon. We just kept hearing
but the
about.
difference is Barbosa was never a puncher. Curiel knocks people out. So
Yeah. All right. Well, we gotta cut to a break.
yes, we gotta pay the bills here, guys. So we're going to a commercial break. But don't go anywhere.
Comment,
Stay
like,
tuned.
subscribe, guys.
Yeah, keep talking to us.
Saturday, March 21st, ProBox TV invades the NOS Event Center as Lester Martinez and Emmanuel Aleem battle for the WBC World Super Middleweight title. Palmdale's Joshua Kevin Anton battles the Uzbeki Punisher. LA is in the house as Anthony Too Quick Cuba defends home turf against Brooklyn's Wesley Farrell, while Sam Contreras takes on Cesar Cantu.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to ProBox TV's Top Stories. Our top story, did you see this one? Gabriela Fundora fought over the weekend.
Yeah, well, she fought on the Barbosa card.
Yeah, man, she's
dominant.
She is dominant, and she stops.
She's mean,
everyone.
too.
She's very mean. She goes for
mean.
it. She got real power.
And she's such a sweetheart outside the ring,
Yes.
bro. It's
But
almost
it's
like
also like her brother. So that's just the same way.
The Jekyll and Hyde, they are very, very well spoken outside the ring. You know, you would never even think that they're fighters when you look at them outside the ring, and then inside the ring they become the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
It's
I think
like meanest of opposition to want to see her across the ring. By the way, Hector Liberato 3724 says Paulie beats Ryan. I'll be honest, I don't think I beat Ryan. I don't. Not at 45
Very,
years
very
old.
big of you,
Not at
champ.
45 years old, but. I do think I beat Barrios, who Ryan just beat. I think I might be able to do that even at 45 years old.
I mean, we saw Pacquiao at 47.
Yeah,
Get a
and
draw.
I thought
with Barrios.
Pacquiao. I think I have more left than what Pacquiao showed he had left in that fight. Pacquiao, to me looked very much shot in comparison to what he was. you know?
Yeah, for sure. Going back to Fundora though.
Gabriela
So
Fundora.
is she the new Amanda Serrano when it comes to KO power? Because we're not used to seeing women who are consistently knocking out
she's
high level
strong.
girls.
You know what? They're just so tall, the Fundoras.
Yeah.
They're just so
But
tall.
they generate so
And
much power, too.
They
Yeah.
generate leverage with that height. And she's another one. And for women who don't get a lot of knockouts, I mean, she's gonna. I'm telling you this right now. Clarissa Shields to me is the GOAT.
Yes.
Okay, but I'm gonna take a stab at this. By the end of Gabriela Fundora's career, we may be talking about her as being the GOAT.
Wow.
By the end, because the way she's going, I can't see anybody getting.
Yeah, how do you beat her? Yeah.
Forget about beating her, even testing her. Just like Clarissa, nobody tests her because she's so good. It's a different kind of phenomenon. It's funny. It's gonna be a different style, so it's gonna be almost like take your pick. Clarissa's a slickster, real smart boxer,
dude,
athletic.
I can't look past the Olympics. She's a two-time gold medalist.
Yeah.
That's big.
Yeah,
Clarissa-
but Fundora turned pro young. I mean,
Yeah.
she wouldn't have went to two Olympics. At the time, Clarissa, you had to kind of build your name up in the amateurs for the women. Right now you don't have to stick around for two Olympics if you're a woman. You can turn pro sooner. So it's also the times are different. It's going to be one of those debates that's always going to be a debate.
But I think it's also going to hurt her because what her talent pool, similar to Clarissa, is very small.
AL say 649 says she's beating up small opponents. I got a news for you. Everybody's going to be small compared to her. They're tall. They're all tall.
Yeah,
The
what does that
Fundoras
mean?
are
That's
super
when
tall.
people are like, oh, it's a weight bully. It's like, well, he made the weight. So what do you mean?
Angel24 says people forgot Nonito Donaire for Sunday morning.
Yes, he did. He got,
Nonito's another one.
he's fighting for a world title, too. That was a world title fight.
Well, but he lost close.
Yeah, he got stopped.
He got stopped?
He got
Oh.
stopped. I think it was a corner retirement.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Where did he fight?
In Japan, I
At
believe.
Bantam?
Yes, 118, right?
Yeah. It's crazy that he can still make Bantam after all
I
these
know.
years, man.
He's 42 years old.
Nonito is out of his mind, bro.
Yes.
But in a
He's
good way.
awesome.
He's a fun guy.
He's
He's a
absolutely-
fun guy to chat with.
Yes.
Wishing
Good
your
guy to
friend
call
Nonito
fights
Donaire a
with.
good recovery after the fight. He's crazy enough to not stop.
Well, you know what it is. So I say this all the time. Like, guys like us, we're older. Like you're coming back in a different sport. But I always feel like punchers have a longer career because they can come back. Like
Well, you
Donaire's
bail
a puncher.
yourself out. Yeah, especially at Bantam.
Donaire can really punch.
Donaire
So
for
like
Rico Masuda in
Masuda,
Japan,
yeah.
in Japan.
Yep.
Mm.
Interesting.
Kenneth Trust says Clarissa's losing her focus arguing with everybody she sees. Well, that's
well, she doesn't lose her focus because she'll argue with you and then still got
in
beat
the
the hell
ring.
out
She
of you.
still does a great job. though.
Exactly. That last performance from Clarissa was really impressive. I thought that was the best version of her I'd ever seen.
Look
She's
at Daniel.
Still improving.
Daniel Vanal says, "Can anyone boil down to 6'6", 154 pounds naturally without sacrificing the ability to absorb punches?" I mean, Fundora.
Was taking those shots from Zoo last time.
Yeah,
Very well.
Listen, we know Mendoza knocked him out. Thurman, you know, obviously is a good puncher himself at 147. How much of it will carry to 54, we'll see. But the thing about Fundora is he also dishes it out pretty heavily too. You know, he's
throws a lot of punches.
The leverage on
he's
his
got heavy punches, and he's willing to
So
exchange.
he's not totally weak. I'm sure Fundora will move up in weight soon. I mean, he's 6'6", 154. It's a freak of nature. But it helps to have the weigh-in 36 hours before. That does help to recover.
The sexy pick would be
Thurman
by KO.
What,
that would be the sexy, you know, DJ.
I'd say
DJ bet.
Yeah, if you're a DJ, I think. Listen, Thurman's gonna be live. He's got a fighter's heart still, but
I also think he's smart enough to
Fundora
set
has
traps.
the push pull now that I saw in the Zoo fight.
Yeah,
it's not the Fundora
impressive.
from the Mendoza fight.
No,
It's a
no,
trickier.
no,
It's a
different
trickier
guy,
Fundora. That push pull is gonna really.
He lives by that. I get a world title and I get 30% better. He is that guy. You saw him get immediately better, you know, once he became a world champion, and he's been very dominant. I think he's going to be dominant for a while. But we got to see him in all these fights with these younger guys. I like Keith. I like Keith's shot in this fight.
So
but I want to see him.
Is Keith the sexy pick for you then?
Yeah, Keith. I got to see the line. If the numbers are juicy enough, I would.
Fundora is like minus 350. I don't know what Keith is. Maybe that's.
But what about Keith by KO?
Keith by KO.
It's probably.
I mean, the only way Keith wins is probably by KO, right? I mean,
it'd be hard to see. Yeah, it'd be hard to see a decision. With a guy like Fundora, with the engine that he has and how many punches he throws, it would be hard to see him getting it.
I mean, so that means that fight's a KO regardless. Because if Fundora wins, I think Fundora probably wins by KO as well. No, and Keith gets stopped for the first time in his career.
I'm sure that's how Vegas is looking at it, but that's. And we're getting the fight's only a couple weeks away.
Aldo Vergara 9035 says if Paulie can strengthen his gas tank, he can beat Barrios by unanimous decision.
Whoa.
You know what? You know, you're making me think, guys. You're making me think now. You know,
planting seeds.
45 years old. I gotta check out the gas tank for that many rounds. That's why I do bare knuckle. You need less of a gas tank. It's all 6 rounds,
five round fights, right?
6 for the next one. It's a title fight, but
titles are 6. Okay.
6 at most. But yeah. I mean, I tell you, round for round, I don't think he beats me. But yeah, the gas tank is the question mark. That's probably the only thing that makes it competitive at this point in my life, if I'm honest. I am.
Talk about you and Barry.
at least from my perspective anyway. Thanks guys for chiming in on that. Angel 24 says Keith will stop him. Fundora gets hit so easy. Yes, but did you guys see Fundora against Zoo?
Yeah.
He has that slick push pull now that really sets and setting traps off.
That 1-2 that he dropped Zoo with in early on.
And even that little sneak uppercut. Now he throws his long little left uppercut with that push pull sneak. I don't know, man. It's almost like he's sliding in with skates and setting himself nicely. And he understands how to do it. That's the thing. Before it was just like whipping big shots back and forth. He would go down. I think Erickson also dropped him, right?
Yeah, Lubin dropped him. That was
a different. I don't know, man. I feel like Fundora may have turned the corner in the Zoo fight. He keeps his savagery, but at the same time also has added some IQ.
He's adding
points.
wrinkles. He's definitely adding wrinkles. Yeah. He reminds me not quite as explosive, but a tall guy who fought on the inside like Chico Corrales. Chico really tall for the weight. He was like 6 feet tall, fighting at 130, but he always stayed in the pocket and let his hands go. Completely gave up his height.
And Corrales also had some chin issues, right? I mean, he could go down, but balls of steel, he would always get up and try to fight
and try to knock you out.
But listen, you're gonna like the guy said before in the comment section, you're gonna give up something. So maybe your ability to take a punch sometimes is given up in that situation, and maybe that's what Thurman's banking on as well. Jose Sisayama, kind of hard to refurbish the gas tank. The miles hauling, life have left their scars and on the body, but the engine spirit is always there. Best wishes, Paulie. Thanks, Jose. Appreciate you.
Nice.
I love the positive comments from these man. Let's see. What's up, guys? I got Thurman by KO. A lot of Thurman picks.
Wow.
Thurman is a sexy pick in the comment section in the Fundora fight. I'll tell you, people liking Thurman. I will say, it's hard to say Fundora will be this new guy consistently, right? We saw it in the Zoo fight. I feel like that's the new Fundora, but you got to see it more than once to really let me know if that's really the consistently new Fundora.
Even in the second Zoo fight, in which obviously he dominated, but there was very concerning things in that fight. He was getting hit way too clean with looping shots,
even from Zoo. Yeah,
yes,
yeah. Listen, it'll make you think.
Zoo doesn't have the game-changing power at 54.
But does Thurman have the game-changing power?
We don't know that either.
We don't know either, right?
Because Thurman used to be one time, but he used to knock out a lot of guys early in his career. But when he got to the championship level, the KOs were rare.
Yeah.
And so I think at 54, he blew out
Jarvis. Jarvis
but,
is a level below, right?
But also Jarvis made turned pro at
140,
35.
right? Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So I don't know. It's hard to tell if that power is going to be real. But if he can be precise and put it on Fundora's chin, we've seen him go.
I mean, or at least go down. Frank ORD says, Paulie, please do Broner one final solid. Get him on ProBox, or at least give him a BKB contract. He's a local Cincinnati bars and around hanging on the wrong crowd. You know, I've been talked about this before. Here's the issue with this. I would love to do Broner a solid. The problem that promoters and people who put in the money have, because I'm not the one putting in the money, the people that are invested in the fight put in the money, is Adrian is such a wild card right now that you can't trust that he'll go through the camp and show up in shape, show up making the weight. So nobody wants to invest the money, unfortunately, because his name, they would do it. They would invest in him. You know what I mean? They would want to include him in some of these things, but nobody trusts that he'll prepare and show up, you know, on weight. And then you get to the weigh-in and the fight implodes. You know, you've sold it for weeks, for months, and now the fight implodes. You know, that's the issue with the investment in Broner. Because listen, guys with lesser of a name than Broner are putting themselves in the mix for these kind of situations, and you know, including myself, for example, and you know, making money right now. But the problem with Broner is if you're an investor, if you're the person putting up the money, now you know you're gonna put it somewhere else because someone else who's more trustable that will show up in shape, that will show up and not blow the fight on the scale.
A fighter like Broner,
that's the issue with Broner, because I believe me, I've brought this up to people.
Yeah, but we would love to have a guy like Broner on our air. That would be it'd be a great fight. You know, he didn't always throw a lot of punches, but he was exciting, and you know, if you get him the right dance partner, it'd be good. But you're right, getting him to the show would be the issue. But we also got Anthony Cacace fought this weekend, retained the WBA 130-pound title against
good little competitive fight. Jazza Dickens is always game.
Yeah, he's tough.
Jazza Dickens is always game.
He's Jazza Dickens. I think he's like in his mid-30s too. I think both these guys are older. Cacace, I think, is 36, 37, and Jazza is in his
both these guys are older.
Yeah, 34.
Cacace withholds them, man. He withstands the.
He's on a hell of a run.
But even Dickens' surge here in the fight, you know,
Cacace, you know, wins this fight. He beats Dickens. He beat like all the British guys. He beat Josh Warrington. Yeah. He beat Woods.
Yeah, and who had the title? What's his name? Cordina. Joe Cordina.
He beat Cordina. Yeah.
Beat Cordina.
Yep. So,
Breaking Bad Boxing says, is Anthony Cuba versus Jorge Jair Valtierra fight off? I don't know. Cuba versus Anthony Cuba versus Jair Valtierra that we're gonna have.
I hope not. That's
I hope not.
One of the better fights.
I haven't heard that, but you know, the fact that somebody's asking, maybe
Anthony Cuba has really made a name for himself on our air. He's been in some very tough fights. He scored an upset in his very first fight on our air. He's a tricky customer. He works with Robert Garcia.
Oh, So he is on the. We're getting that in our ear right now from the producer.
Yeah, the truck is telling us that
he's saying that fight is on. He's the feature fight on the 21st. It's a co-feature. Co-feature fight. So as of now, unless you're hearing something we don't know, guys, in the comment section, but as of now, we're hearing that the fight is on.
Yeah, it could be an inside track though.
Frank ORD says Berlanga's trainer, which is Mark Ferrer, allegedly leaked that he's in talks with Zufa, and so is Hitchens. We've heard that too, guys. We've heard that too. With Hitchens, it's interesting. Berlanga, it's interesting too. But Berlanga,
none of it's interesting. They're all Keith Connolly guys.
Yeah, that's true. That's
Connor
the
Keith
Connolly train. Yeah, the Keith Connolly train.
It's not. If you look at the attachments, it's not. It's not that surprising.
Interesting.
Actually.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I said this about Hitchens because he didn't fight his last fight because he got sick the day of the fight after making the official weigh-in and then the IBF same day weigh-in in the morning, and then he didn't recover, but wasn't able to fight that night. So it begs to think that he might not be fighting a 40 anymore. Also, there is no 140 in Zufa.
Yeah,
it's 147. It goes by the old weight
but
classes.
Hitchens has trouble making 40,
so maybe he doesn't. If he doesn't have to
same
give
with
up
Berlanga,
his belt,
right? Now in the super middleweight, they don't want to use super middleweight, right? They want to use light heavyweight.
Oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
But Berlanga's a big super middle. Maybe he'll go to light heavy as well.
Yeah, he can go light heavy. But also Berlanga, like, could you see him picking up a title at 168? 68 is deep.
No, but Berlanga is also the description of basically what Eddie said about Zufa before, that they're going to pick up either guys who are just not good enough or guys who are just past it, right? Berlanga's kind of on that good but not
certainly
good
not
enough.
Past it. He's young. But.
No, but he's the opposite. He's the first description. Yeah. He probably wasn't going to win a world title. So you go to Zufa, you play in that sandbox. There might be some money there. There might be some opportunity there. Build up your name a little bit. with Zufa, you're still going to be in the discussion. You're going to be almost in a separate lane. But maybe that's the lane guy. But guys like that who are pretty good but not good enough, that separate lane benefits them the most because now they don't have to play in the lane where they'll get their brains beaten.
But he's also another guy where maybe his profile is bigger than his skill set.
Yeah. Oh, that of course. But listen, and who knows? Maybe Berlanga improves, gets better. Maybe
he's got all the talent in the world.
In the Zufa lane, you have that opportunity to kind of do that. I feel like in the main lane right now, where he's playing with the sharks that are in the pool, where in the mainstream of boxing, are going to be too difficult for him. Whether it's at 168 or 175, I don't see Berlanga being able to overcome that. But maybe there's a Zufa pool that he can play in. And
I'm not sure we don't see the regular old titles at Zufa as well.
For a little while, maybe.
And yeah, I think for the time being, and this for the time being could be a couple years. I do think we're going to see those titles there.
I mean, what's going on with Opatai and IBF? No, I mean, we don't have nothing.
I think they're going forward, and he's going to keep him as champion. It would be I don't think it would be a good idea for them to let go of a guy like that, over this, and especially since Zufa seems to be communicating that they are going to allow these belts to be part of their shows. So I don't know that's yet to be discussed yet about.
I mean,
how that's going to.
I still think ultimately Zufa's plans are to obliterate the sanctioning bodies. Now, whether the sanctioning bodies want to play with them now and be obliterated slowly, or whether they want to draw a line in the sand and go to war, that's on them. But I do still think whether they work with them or not, that the sanctioning bodies, the end game for Zufa. The end goal, at least for Zufa, is to eliminate the sanctioning bodies. So it'll be interesting to see. Because somebody like Hitchens, on the other hand, is good. He's world class in terms of he could win at a high level. Well, he has won at a high level. He's already a world champion.
He's a legit world champion.
So and he's still in his prime age, so he could you could see him continuing to win championships. So for Zufa to pick up a guy like that, that's like your Opatai over the world. That's like a guy who is premier. Elite at the weight class, so you're then doubling down on something different than what Eddie described as getting guys who are past their prime or just barely on the cusp but not good enough. Because now that would be your second guy. If you're able to get Hitchens, that would be the second guy you get that's at the elite level that can actually win at the elite level. It will be Opatai and it will be Hitchens. So they are starting to sprinkle in some of these legit guys. Also, I'm going to say something else that came across my lap over the weekend. They got Daniel Yulusinov. Daniel Yulusinov, most of you guys aren't going to know who he is. Former Olympic gold medalist. Unfortunately. Former Olympic gold medalist, got tied in some horrible pro contracts from Kazakhstan. This guy, in my opinion, he's like 7 or 8-0, and he's like 33, 34 years old at this point. He would have been the premier opponent for Terence Crawford. Had he been allowed to develop into the pros and build his name up, Crawford and Yulusinov would have been the fight. At this point, Yulusinov was not able to develop. He was frozen out. He's still only 7-0. I don't know what level he's on. He's probably still at a very high level. I don't know if he's going to be at the level of a Crawford at this point, but because he just hasn't been busy. But Zufa has a chance to maybe get when you're trying to get the juice out of the last juice out of the orange and out of the or strain the sponge out of the last liquid. Maybe Zufa can get the last liquid out of the last juice left out of Yulusinov, but you got to move him pretty fast. I don't think Yulusinov has a problem with that because he's confident enough and he's got all the experience in the world. But Yulusinov has been signed to Zufa. I don't think this is a guy who you put in co-main events or undercard, so I hope Zufa's not making that mistake. I hope he's in a main event soon because I'd like to see him. And I personally would like to see what he's got left at 33, 34 after having been inactive. But this guy was nasty. I'm telling you, this guy was really, really good. And unfortunately, the whole world never heard of him and may never hear of him. But let's see what Zufa does with him.
It's another guy that Eddie had that didn't do much with him.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really did anything. When he wound up with Greg Cohen, who I don't even know how that even happened, but obviously he wasn't going anywhere when we signed there. And then he just got frozen out, and now he's with Zufa, and it could be an opportunity to make one last little final run, see where he goes. But Yulusinov is a good fighter. He's not in his prime age anymore, but with the experience that he has, and I'm telling you, this guy was the goods.
Can he still make welterweight?
I don't know. I mean, that's the
thing.
Probably hasn't
made it. He's going to have to.
Yeah, either that or middleweight,
60, right?
I mean, I've been told through the grapevine that Yulusinov doesn't want to wait around and fighting on the card fights. He's ready for main events right now. He's basically said, "Give me your best guy right now." So could you see Hitchens Yulusinov at 147 if Yulusinov can make welter? Could you see Hitchens Yulusinov? That's a nice little fight.
That's a good fight.
The thing is Yulusinov doesn't have the the profile right now. People don't know who he is, you know. So
but you don't really need
is it
that
worth
with
putting in
Zufa.
Hitchens with
You don't need that with
Yulusov?
Zufa. You don't
No,
need that.
I guess the Zufa could just make the fight, right, and do a ProBox style, just make it head to head.
They just make it. They have the marketing arm to push everything anyway.
Yeah.
and they'll build a card around it.
That would be, I mean, for boxing insiders, you got to be a real boxing insider to know Yulusov. But if you do, Hitchens at Yulusov is already a
gold medalist,
really
and
good
a
fight, and a former world
both,
champion.
both Olympians.
Yeah.
Hitchens was
also an
a
Olympian for
Haitian
Haiti,
Olympian.
yeah.
Yep. So 2 Olympians, 2 high-level guys, 2 boxing minds.
One former world boxing champion.
Yeah, that's a good
one
fight.
guy who probably would have been a world boxing champion had he not gotten himself stuck in bad contracts. But yeah, that's another Zufa possibility there as well. So with Hitchens and Berlanga discussion, that's why we love you guys in the comments, because you guys bring up the discussions and then they sort of evolve. And I was able to remember the Yulusov signing.
And in between, we cover some of our top stories. You know, we always say, like,
Cacace,
he still got it.
Yeah, no, Cacace, 37 years old, still got it.
No, I was going to say
at 130. Who else still got it?
I was going to say John O'Carroll.
John O'Carroll
scores a big.
John O'Carroll lost to Inoue, no? Was that him or no?
No. John O'Carroll lost to Tevin Farmer.
Tevin Farmer, okay.
Back in the day. And multiple time title challenger, lost to Maxie Hughes as well.
Okay.
But he's brought in the fight. Colm Murphy, who's a 16-0 kid, very, very highly touted guy from the UK. John O'Carroll, man, still got it. Gets the win. IBO wins the vacant IBO title. So never been a true, one of the 4 recognized world championships, but an IBO title is a nice trinket to get, at 33.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a nice win. I mean, it keeps you get a win like that. It keeps you in the mix. It keeps you in the conversation. You may get a phone call for another fight or a relatively important fight, which at that point in your life and in your career, you're hanging around looking for those kind of calls, and you're looking to make yourself relevant and keep yourself relevant in that way.
Yeah, I forgot. John was Irish.
Chica Win says, "Is Zufa signing any women's boxers? The best are with Jake Paul." I haven't heard of Zufa signing any women fighters. That's a good question, but I don't.
Good question. But speaking of women's boxing,
sign women's boxers, you got to sign the opponents too. Think about it. So
the problem is that MVP has pretty much cornered the market on women's fighters. The only ones they don't have are Gabriela Fundora and Clarissa Shields. And speaking of Clarissa Shields, have you seen the Clarissa and Baumgartner going at it on social media every time they're
what's their problem with each other?
They want to fight. Well, at least you basically got 2 alpha females around each other, and they want to fight. They want to make the fight happen. I mean, the size difference is a lot. Mm-hmm. Baumgartner is what is she fight? 30, 35? Yeah. And Clarissa is campaigning at heavyweight.
That's like Christy Martin versus Layla Ali. That's too much. That's too much of a weight difference, man. That's a bit like too much, too extreme.
I agree. But there are connections, right? Because Michaela Mayer fought Baumgartner at 130. Lost a very close fight to her. And there's real talks about Michaela fighting Clarissa.
Yeah, but again, it's the same thing.
Michaela's a lot bigger than Baumgartner.
Come on, man.
She's a lot bigger than
Baumgartner.
I
hear you, but come on, man. You still fight. You're 126 to 130. Clarissa's big, man. Not to mention she's good too. We got Rayo Valenzuela also has Zufa. Somebody just mentioned here.
No, he was one of the first signings.
But I'm saying he could also be at welterweight with the Hitchens and Yulusov conversation. Yeah, Rayo in there too. Right?
So where did he fight that first fight? Was that 47?
Was that 47 or 35, right? Could have been 35.
40. No, 40. Because he's a...
So he did fight at 40? I thought they don't have 40. I thought they don't have in between weight classes. Bro, Zufa, you got to make up your mind, bro, so we can figure out what we're talking about over here. Because with 1 week you have one rule, 1 week you change it to the next thing. You got to figure it out so we can figure it out.
Yeah, that's. I feel like he fought at 140.
Yeah, I don't know. Anybody at home know what weight Valenzuela fought at? Dr. Boxing said Baumgartner needs to focus on Serrano. Dr. Boxing Talk said that. Not to mention, she should worry about the Mayer rematch resurfacing now that she signed to MVP. I guess, yeah. I mean, right? The sign of the MVP, right? They could do the Mayer rematch instead of the Clarissa fight.
I don't
why
see
are you
that
bringing
fight.
Girls from 130 to fight Clarissa? I don't understand. I really don't.
Because Michaela is one of the best female fighters in the world.
I hear you. The Bam Rodriguez is one of the best. Bam Rodriguez is one of the best fighters too. Doesn't mean you put him up against Carlos Adames.
There's money there, dude. You want the fight? You take the fight,
bro. But then you make a mockery of everything. Come on, stop. We're making a mockery of this thing now. Come on. Money makes the world go round. I want to
see Clarissa and Shadeja Green.
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Though Shadeja got beat by who? Savannah? Who beat Shadeja?
She lost to who just
Franchon Cruz. Yes. All right. Well, I guess boxing math would have to not math for that fight to be a good fight, right?
The math ain't mathin'.
Math ain't mathin'. Yeah. Clarissa not interested in challenges. I think Clarissa took on all the challenges. I don't know
yeah.
if there's any challenges left for Clarissa to take.
Which is why she's calling
That's why
out
they're.
men.
But what I'm saying is, the smaller fighters don't interest me with Clarissa, but I can't. It's not because Clarissa's avoiding anybody. It's not like, when you had your Canelo who was fighting, looking to bring guys up from smaller weight class while avoid his own weight class. With Clarissa, she's literally beating heavyweights and super middleweights and junior middleweights and so on and so forth. Yeah, okay, I guess who she's gonna fight. Make Shadesha. You're right. Shadesha's on her weight.
That's the next step. And then again, I don't dislike the Michaela Mayer fight. I think her style, because she's smaller and she's a good boxing style. She's in a great gas tank. I like that fight.
This is savage. Alex Rodriguez, CV5XJ. Ready for this one, guys? This is in the comment section. It's not me. All right, Clarissa versus Imani Khalif, since she's calling out Rolly. No comment. All right. What do you think? Let's go to break with that one.
Yeah. On that note, stay tuned. Come on back.
I'll read all your comments. See.
Saturday, March 21st, ProBox TV invades the NOS Event Center as Lester Martinez and Emmanuel Aleem battle for the WBC World Super Middleweight title. Palmdale's Joshua Kevin Anton battles the Uzbeki Punisher. LA is in the house as Anthony Too Quick Cuba defends home turf against Brooklyn's Wesley Farrell, while Sam Contreras takes on Cesar Cantu.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Big Fight Breakdown. It's myself, Chris Algieri, and the champ, Paulie Malignaggi here. We're talking Lester Martinez. Fights coming up this weekend in San Bernardino. He is a Guatemalan budding star in Lester Martinez. He's fighting Emmanuel Aleem for an interim title with a potential of possibly fighting the winner of Christian Bile versus Canelo Alvarez, which is in discussions right now. So, but a lot on the line for Lester in this fight with Aleem. And I've been talking to some people. Mm-hmm. I'm talking to some people. You know me, champ. I'm in the gyms. I talk to a lot of guys. I got some people picking Aleem.
Yeah,
very dangerous.
But I listen. I think Aleem is very dangerous, but it would also necessitate a little bit of Lester taking his foot off the gas, taking his foot off his eye off the prize. Aleem is the kind of guy,
which can happen when you get a lot of attention after a fight of the year type fight.
Yes, it could happen. Is Lester the type that could let himself be distracted so soon in his rise to stardom?
We won't have.
We have seen such things, but a lot of times it happens to Americans who have that little bit of westernized mentality.
Well,
Lester
happens a lot of Cubans who come here.
Yeah, well, that's because they find freedom and it's a different mindset. But I don't know, Guatemalan from a more conservative-minded culture. He may keep his mind set on that grind. Plus, listen, Lester is focused in that gym where he trains. Yeah. He trains in Nebraska with with the Crawford crew over there and Bomac and everybody else. I mean, it's a fighter's nest over there. So, I think he'll come prepared mentally and physically coming from that kind of training camp. But yeah, Aleem is the kind of guy, and he's gonna give it his all because this is Aleem's last chance for sure. So Aleem is coming to shoot all his bullets, and Aleem typically doesn't leave any bullets in the chamber. He usually shoots them anyway. So in this fight, I think he's gonna be guns locked and loaded and ready to fire. And he's gonna be looking to detonate.
I had a conversation with the ProBox CEO. Gary Jonas, and he was saying that ProBox doesn't do what other promotions do in that they'll get a short notice opponent or give them a few weeks.
Yeah.
He wants everyone to be in tip top. So even the opponents when they come in, you're getting the best version of that guy fighting a potential.
A lot of promoters do that where they get opponents.
I'm sure it happened to you. It happened to me. It happened to me a bunch of times. Short notice fights. With me early in my career, I used to tell my the matchmakers I want the opponents to have time to train. Another reason why I didn't have a lot of knockouts, plus my bad hands. But I was saying I
wanted my
I've been the opponent where they gave
to train. I used to actually get angry if they would try to do that. But your fights were last minute, but you were also with somebody where you had to take those fights. I was in a position where I don't have to do that too much. Honestly, that's one thing I didn't have to do is take fights on short notice.
Conor Ben 5 weeks.
Conor Ben 5 weeks.
5 weeks.
Yeah, no, I didn't have
to go across the world.
The only time I did that was when I fought in Italy after the Danny Garcia fight because I was on vacation randomly in Italy and like, you want to fight Milan in a month, and I was like, You know what? Why not? Let's do it. You know?
I was surprised you came back so quick after the Garcia fight.
Well, that's
you got cut. Didn't you get cut in that fight too?
Yeah. Well, that's why I did it. I was like, you know what? If I don't do it right, maybe I'm not gonna do it. So let me just do it.
Mm-hmm.
I was literally on vacation, and I was like, yeah, why not? So I took that fight on a few weeks' notice. You know, I just did it just for the hell of it.
But that doesn't happen here on ProBox TV. So you get a guy like Emmanuel Aleem, who we actually spoke to. We could tell he's in shape. He's in the right mindset.
Yeah.
He's been training for months, getting ready for this opportunity.
And Aleem always is in shape and trains and trains for the big opportunity. Which is why he's been such an upset specialist at times. You know, he's a guy who has that reputation. Again, not one of those guys where you look for an in-between fight against a guy who's, this guy's no-hoper. He's an underdog, but he's not a no-hoper. Aleem will come to fight.
Fast hands,
he's not a guy
power,
he's
smart.
not a guy who gives up the winning mentality that easily. A guy with an opponent mindset gives up the winning mentality very easily. Once they'll go in against a guy like Lester and fight defensively just to look to go to rounds and earn a check. I think Aleem is here for more than just a check. I think Aleem is here for both a check and the opportunity to move on to bigger fights, and which is the way he's always fought in his career. It has been in a way that he believes he belongs in those bigger fights.
So you're saying that there's a chance that we could have another really.
I think,
but I think
back-to-back
weekends.
But I think this fight could.
Fight of the year type fights.
Bro, here's what I think on this fight. I think this fight's going to be short and explosive.
Yeah, I can see that.
I think there's going to be knockdowns.
It'd be great for as long as it lasts.
I think it could literally be like a 4 or 5 round absolute shootout, which would be unbelievable because then ProBox would have back-to-back weeks of shootouts,
which is not unheard of, and especially when you put
granted,
the most talented guys back to back.
You put the styles together, and then the chips fall where they are. On paper, this fight is a shootout, no matter what. Yes, Lester's favor, but on paper, this fight's a shootout. And like you said, people in the gyms are picking Aleem, right?
One of the reasons why we're talking
is he what you called Thurman earlier, the sexy pick?
The sexy pick from the guys. Sexy pick? From the guys that I've been talking to, yes, he is the undercover gym sexy pick. Is Emmanuel Aleem by upset. So, and the reason we are talking about this fight so much,
you guys got to tune in this Saturday night.
Is for stuff like this, because people may not know Emmanuel Aleem the way that we do. As soon as we heard it was him, we were like, "Oof, that's a fight." And then we got to speak to him, and then again we've been talking about this. We're hammering this home for that reason, because his profile doesn't match. Even his record doesn't match.
If you've seen him fight, though, he's a guy who always shows up.
Yeah,
I think only Centeno got him out early, randomly, right?
Centeno caught him, and
but I mean, I saw the Kitrov upset. He was shooting big shots, man. He was shooting big shots, and he's explosive when he shoots them too. And even he's one of those guys where you hear the rumors in the gym too. He's dangerous in the gym, always prepared. Those big shots. Who we got? We got somebody joining us.
Speaking of dangerous in the gym, we're joined by Robert Garcia. There he is. Oh, not in the gym today.
Coach.
What's up, Coach?
What's happening?
How you guys doing?
Good. We're talking Lester Martinez, Emmanuel Aleem, and we're just talking about how good Aleem is. And I've been hearing about some people in the gyms that are actually picking Aleem. They think he's a really dangerous guy, fast hands, good power. And we're just trying to hammer it home to everyone at home. Like this is a good fight.
You know what? I'm actually surprised you guys heard that, because I heard that too, man.
See?
I've been hearing that he's been looking so good in the gym, and he's coming in with a good game plan. So I can't wait.
That's a sexy pick. The sexy pick on the West Coast too. Yeah. Shoot, man. They tell me he's got a chance.
Yeah. So he. I mean, I've been hearing it on East Coast gyms. Obviously, you're hearing it on West Coast gyms. Man, this is a good one.
What are your thoughts, Coach Garcia? What do you think this is like, for example, I think this is a short but sweet fight, explosive fight on big punches thrown on both ends, but I think it ends in a knockout. What do you think?
I agree with you, Paulie. I think Lester right now is in a moment where he's in his moment, and as good as Aleem can be, and as good as people are saying, because like I said, I've been hearing the same thing. But I think Lester is just right now nothing could stop him. He proved it in his last fight. He should have been fighting for the world title. It's an interim title, which is good, but he should have been fighting for the real world title right now. And but this is still a good fight. I think Lester wins by knockout.
Coach Robert, do you look at this fight like you said it last week? Dominic Valle was in a really tough fight, over the weekend, and we were talking about that prior to the fight, and you were like, "That's not the kind of fight I would pick for my guy this soon." Do you look at this fight with Aleem and Lester and be like, maybe this isn't the right time to do this because of all the things you said. Like, he's in a really good position. This is a bit of a banana peel fight. Would you kind of look at this and be like, or are you thinking like it doesn't matter? Lester's just an ascending guy.
Yeah, at this point, it doesn't matter anymore. I think Lester's ready. I think Lester is ready to do it, ready to go out there and perform against the best. I think this one's just the first one to many more. I think he's going to be on top of the world. It's his moment right now. I think he could compete against anybody at 168, and I think he probably beat most of them.
I mean, ProBox has had a shootout last weekend.
Yeah.
A potential shootout this weekend. Certainly, we hope the fans at home are enjoying the schedule. We're calling it March Madness. The every weekend of March fights here on ProBox. We started the month with the live fights from Mexico, and this past weekend we had a monster card that top with Najee Lopez versus Manuel Gallegos. We have Lester Martinez versus Emmanuel Aleem this weekend, which is a barn burner written all over it. And then at the last weekend of the year, I know we got to compete against Fundora Thurman, but we got Acosta versus Ronnie Rios on the 28th as well.
That's the 28th, and then we take 1 week off, and we come back, and we got back-to-back nights.
Yeah,
April 10th and 11th.
Yeah,
so it's 5 fights in 5 weeks.
Yeah. That's a big
we're
one.
also joined by Breadman. Breadman, what's up?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing today?
We got no volume, Bread.
We got no.
We go through this once per every show. Where we have volume issues there. We'll get you. We'll get you in there, Bread. We'll get you in there, Bread. Once we figure out the volume.
But yeah, this schedule that we have ahead is and the matchups are good. The cards are deep. They always are. This past weekend, maybe one of the best cards we've ever had. Top to bottom was an excellent card, and the main event obviously stole the show. And his potential fight of the year candidate early on this 2026.
Yeah, we got a big early candidate for fight of the year. I think right now it may be the front runner. Like I said, my other pick was Ball and Figueroa, but I thought this fight was.
If this isn't the fight of the year, if it does get beat, man, we're having a hell of a year because that fight was tremendous, and the Ball Figueroa fight was very, very fun too.
You okay?
Oh yeah,
Brett,
we got you.
We got you, Brett. How you doing, man?
So, Brett, are you hearing the same thing that Robert and I are hearing in these gyms, that Emmanuel Aleem is looking really good and is a dangerous guy for Lester?
No, I haven't heard that. Even though Aleem is from the D.C. area, I haven't heard too much about his camp time.
Yeah, before Robert came on, I was speaking to some friends of mine up in the area, and they were like, "Yo, I'm picking Aleem. He's looking really good. He's got fast hands. He's got power." And then I mentioned it to Robert. Robert said he had heard some things in the gyms as well that he's been looking really good.
Emmanuel, what are you hearing about Emmanuel, Brett?
I just know him because D.C. and Philly aren't too far from each other, and he's fought on a couple of cars with us. So I've always kind of had look, you know how it is, Paulie, like in the lobbies at a hotel at a big fight, you kind of see kids when everybody's on the same cars. So that's kind of the interaction that I've had with him. I tried to get him some sparring for Karan Davis and J-Rock a few times, but it never really worked out as far as the logistics of it. But I haven't heard too much about this particular camp specifically.
By the way, Dr. Boxing Talk said Riot went back down to 135 for a Zufa debut.
I looked that up. I didn't get to throw that in, but it was 35, yeah.
Okay.
Which is a good move for his part. I think 40 was, one thing fight.
Brett, how do you see the fight playing out with Lester and Aleem? I was talking about,
I like to rock with my East Coast guys, but I think that Lester is a little too big and a little too fresh for Aleem right now.
Is there sort of a slip-up potential here where, Lester coming off the high of the Canelo versus Crawford card, and now he's back on a smaller show on ProBox, despite the fact that the opponent is not matching, a small opponent. I mean, Aleem is physically small, but he's a dangerous guy who always shows up to fight. Is there the potential for Lester to underestimate him, or do you think he's just locked in right now too much?
There's always the potential, Paulie, and Lester's a human being. Anytime you have a human being, complacency could take place. But I do think that the biggest jump in boxing is 60 to 68. And I think that Aleem is a natural 60-pounder. He's not even that big for a 60-pounder. So the bone density on the guys at 68 is just a little different. And with Lester being a lot younger and a lot fresher, I just think that the timing of the fight honestly favors him. I would like to see Aleem do good. He's a great kid, and I've known him for a while. but this is a tough matchup for him at this particular stage in his career, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great point, Brett, about the size, because we spoke about that. He is truly more of a middleweight than a 68-pounder. Robert, let me ask you about what's the talk out there about Lester? I know you were saying that a lot of the Mexican fans and people around have been really like taking Lester in. What's the word around the gyms out there on the West Coast?
It's Southern California, especially the Riverside area, Inland Empire. Everybody's excited about Lester being on the card again, being in San Bernardino. He has a lot of fans. I'm telling you, there's a lot of people walking into the gym, asking if we have tickets for sale, asking if we're gonna have a media workout. They're just asking questions because they want to see him, they want to meet him. He's not only a very talented fighter, but he also very likable. He smiles at everybody. He shakes everybody's hand. He talks to everybody, and people really like that. And look, and he's not Mexican, but he's got a very big Mexican following here in Southern California.
Yeah, and the fight, I'm being told in my ear, the fight is a sellout. There are no more tickets available.
Maybe some walk-ups might be.
Yes.
Yeah, we're looking to potentially get some more tickets for walk-up, standing only. But for right now, it is a sellout.
Breadman, Al Buga in the comment section said, is middle to super middle the biggest jump in boxing? He said, I would have guessed light heavy to cruiserweight is a bigger jump. Interesting that you think that, he said.
Yeah, well, as far as pounds is concerned, it's, obviously it's light heavy to cruiserweight. But if you look at the body density of a middleweight, and then you look at the body density of a world-class super middleweight, even though it's one weight division apart, it's like totally different guys. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. Look at David Morrell and David Benavidez, and then look at Carlos Adames and Erislandy Lara. They're one weight division apart.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And like Benavidez and Morrell, they look like they're naturally 30 pounds heavier than Lara, although they're only 8 pounds apart as far as weight divisions. It's just a huge difference. For some reason, I don't know why, but it's just a huge difference. But technically, the pounds of the light heavyweight and the cruiserweight, the 25 pounds. But once you get up to light heavyweight, we all know this. Those guys are 210, 220 pounds anyway. You know what I mean? They're big guys once you get past that. Like, that's like the little line where, like, Antonio Tarver, he can fight at cruiserweight. And look at it like this. How many middleweights of this era or the last era actually win the super middleweight title?
I was going to say, that's one of the reasons Canelo has been impressive, because he's not a big guy. Canelo is shorter than me. He's not a wide-shouldered guy.
8'5" says Adames is huge, though. Adames is pretty big for his weight, 54 and 60.
He's big, but he's not.
But Paulie, he's only 5'9".
Yeah.
Adames is only 5'9".
He's just thick, yeah.
He's a thick guy for the weight, but I'm saying look at him next to Morrell or Benavidez.
Even in reality, look at him next to Shiraz, right? If you think about it,
he used to fight at 47.
Yeah.
He was a welterweight.
Yeah.
When they fought Shiraz,
it's just like a different size man for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like even in the gyms, when the guy a natural 68 pounder, that guy is about 6 foot, 6'1". He walks around about over 200 pounds easily.
Bread, Cut Creator 420 says, Breadman looking like Tupac. I don't know if you ever got that before, but he said he looking like Tupac. He could play
good
Tupac.
Questions for the mailbag. Actually, I got two really good questions.
If you color that beard, you have a Tupac lookalike. You could be.
Hey, Paulie, I'm gonna tell you a quick story. This is no bullshit. When I first got my hair bald, I wasn't going bald. I just shaved it, and girl walked up to me and was like, "Yo, you look like Tupac," and I never grew hair ever since.
That's all you needed to hear?
Well, that's what Tupac did, right? I don't know. Was Tupac really bald? I don't think he was, right? Because he was very young.
I don't think he was.
Yeah, I think he used to just shave it too. That's funny.
Yeah, I was about 25 years old and I shaved it off, and I never.
You do have a lot of big lookalike. That's big. That's a nice one for from our mailbag there.
So I'm sure you guys heard this is kind of like a breaking news today, but Top Rank signs a deal with DAZN.
You know what? You were ahead of the game. Yeah. Somebody was chatting about that earlier. I just couldn't slip it in there. Is there any insider?
I was waiting until we had these guys to
any insider info on the deal,
Robert,
what are you hearing?
Have you heard much about this Top Rank deal and DAZN? And were you privy to this before the announcement today?
Yes, and obviously I have a few fighters with Top Rank, a world champion, and Raymond Mortaya. So yes, I was confirmed that the deal is finalized, and they haven't announced any dates or anything. But since I have a world champion and a few very very good prospects, they I think I was one of the first ones to find out. So hopefully we get dates pretty soon. But yeah, everything looks good now with the zone. Uh, Looks like they got a pretty good deal. So I'm excited. I'm ready for my fighters to get busy and get back to fighting under Top Rank promotion.
Yeah, this really just broke right before we started our shows today, and it was I had people text me, "Is this confirmed?" But we did have it break by Lance Pugmire, who put an article out on Boxing Scene, and he showed us a little bit of the details of the deal. It's like 8 to 10 fights a year. And the money amount for each show is kind of low. It's 1 million to $1.5 million per show. Mm-hmm. So that kind of tells you it's not going to be championship level fights, but it's not an exclusive deal. So we could see Top Rank having another streaming network and
with
still
with the bigger contracts.
Right,
yeah.
right,
okay,
right. And
but still, 1 to 1.25 million is pretty good, high level, pretty decent level fight.
It's a high level like builder. Yeah. And you can still put on some pretty decent fights, but you're not going to get like.
You're not going to get Bam on there, or whatever.
Robert, it seems almost, it was brought up like
even Mortaya, right?
The Mortaya and Andy Cruz fight was really well received, and it was on DAZN. Do you think that had anything to do with this deal coming through? Like saying, oh, these guys are top notch. We can put them on our air as well.
Well, look, I don't think they need to see a fight like Raymond and Andy. I don't think they need to see that to know that Top Rank always has great fighters, very good talented prospects. Everybody knows that Top Rank has been the best for 50, 60 years. So I don't think that was the decision why DAZN made. Maybe I don't know. I could be wrong, but maybe the deal that's now happening with Golden Boy and Top Rank's getting some of those dates. It's possible, the budgets. You guys are saying, that it's not championship fights, but there's a lot of champions that don't make that kind of money anyway. Yeah. So there's a lot of fights that Top Rank could make that are world title fights that could actually do a really good card, especially in Southern California, because they're gonna get a gate also. They're gonna get sponsorship, so they're gonna end up with close to $2.5 million. In the budget, so I think that's enough to pay for a very solid card.
Yeah, Robert, like your Rafael Espinosa type of champion, you probably could that budget can probably afford that kind of championship fighter, right?
Correct. They could put up together fights like that. Like Rafael Espinosa could be a headliner, and that's a good card. Raymond Mortaya with Emiliano Vargas, those kind of prospects, they have. They could do really good cards, and they're gonna have a gate. Gates also make a lot of money and sponsorship, international rights, and all that stuff that they do. So I think that's great for Top Rank. I think they're gonna have a good 8 to 10 shows per year, which is beautiful. Keeps the guys busy, man. That's what we were waiting for.
Yeah, and Donnie 956 reminds me that Bam is with Matchroom. Yes. I did know that. I don't know why I brought him up. I guess I'm just used to seeing the Mexican Americans and referring to them with the Top Rank fights, right?
Yeah, but
I actually did know.
Speaking of Matchroom, DAZN now. How many different promotions are they working with at this point? So you got Matchroom, you got Top Rank.
That's what I'm saying. Zufa is playing the let's take over boxing game, but DAZN themselves are really, really covering a vast majority of boxing. I mean, the whole Paramount versus DAZN line being drawn in the sand is starting to become the modern day HBO versus Showtime line drawn in the sand, right?
Yeah, it's just we had mentioned this, like Zufa. I know their ultimate goal is to completely take over, but if they fall short of that, they're just going to land in as another promotion and another network, and it's just more competition. It seems like everyone's stepping up their game. Brad, what's your take on just the landscape of boxing now in terms of the kinds of shows that are getting put on, between all these different factions that seem to be butting heads, but as fans, we're winning because we're getting good fights.
I was about to say that, Chris. I really don't like to draw an allegiance of who's doing the show. I more care about who's fighting.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, to me, it doesn't matter if it's Paramount or DAZN or whatever. I just want to see good fights. So when I read that Top Rank was doing a deal today, I was like, wow, that's awesome, because that's 8 to 10 more fights of seeing guys like the Raymond Mortellas, like one of the Vargas sons. Top Rank has an excellent stable, so I just kind of draw the allegiance there. I still don't know how everything's going to work out. You know, it was a little bit different when it was Showtime and HBO. The streaming platforms kind of confused me because you don't know who's affiliated with who. So I kind of just sit back watching, and I'm just trying to figure out which direction things are going to go. I still haven't figured everything out. Like, sometimes I'll hear somebody say, well, that's Turkey's money. And I'll just sit back. I don't like to comment on things that I don't know about. And I'll sit back and I'll say, damn, I thought that fight was on Netflix. How's that Turkey's money? You know what I mean? Like, it'll kind of like, I don't know who's exactly affiliated with who and who is privately funding a lot of these fights.
Yeah, it seems like Turkey's just bigger than the entire landscape, and he just funds whatever he wants to fund, right? Because I've also heard that Turkey has funded some of the
Netflix
Netflix
rhyme
stuff.
or reason behind which fights he decided to pay for and don't decide
I just
to
think
pay
he
for.
just decides
it's
whatever he
favoritism.
likes.
It's whatever he likes. Yeah,
whatever he likes,
what he wants
does.
to see.
He doesn't. He's not really controlled by the barriers of the networks. It seems like.
Robert, you've been in this sport for a long time. You know, between yourself, your father, your whole family. What do you make of all this? Like, obviously we're going through a technological change, and we're all transitioning. You know, Brad, you mentioned the streaming thing and how it's kind of confusing. I have to agree. What's your take on this, Robert, in terms of where boxing is at and these times?
But look, it has changed a lot. You know, it has changed. You know, when we had the HBO, the Showtime, then ESPN, and you know, now it's just the Zone, ProBox. You know, it's only streaming
Paramount
networks. Paramount now. You know, obviously with Zufa. I think with the Zone, I think the Zone could actually be like HBO was, working with every promoter. They would give an X amount of dates to every promoter, and that's what made big fights happen. You know, that's why we got so many big fights that we're able to showcase on HBO or Showtime, because they had the money and they had the network, you know, and they worked with everybody. I think the Zone could be turning into one of those, you know, not just a match. You know, they should also be giving dates to Golden Boy. Now Top Rank's gonna get some. PBC could come right after that, you know, and that way we get all those big fights, because, you know, that's what we've been getting lately. People need to see that. There's so many fights that we need to see and need to happen.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If it comes down to that, then the people on the Zufa side wind up stranded on that side of the street. A lot of times when HBO was a bigger deal than Showtime, I remember, you know, for a lot of it, HBO was bigger than Showtime,
bigger, yeah.
even though Showtime had its run, especially at the end. Showtime made a big run. I was fortunate enough to be on that Showtime squad when they did. But I remember, you know, if HBO fighters could all be in that pool where they could fight each other,
I feel like
and then
HBO
Showtime fighters could only fight each other.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult to cross. And as a matter of fact, a lot of times at a certain point, your Showtime fighter will cross over, like Ricky Hatton, you know, like even Joe Calzaghe eventually came across, and so on and so forth. There was I'm talking about at that time frame, because then at the end, some of the HBO guys actually went across the Showtime.
Well,
but at the very end,
when they made that Floyd deal, Showtime really stepped up. That was
even Canelo they had for 6 fights. I remember we had him. But regardless, what Zufa risks here is, because Zufa and Paramount only have one contract deal with one promoter, you risk staying stranded on this side, and everybody else is slowly aligning on the other side. And the Zone seems to have a lot of the financial firepower as well.
Turkey bought a piece of the Zone.
I was just gonna, this guy is right on my mindset. It's like you're finishing my sentences. What's going on over here?
Well, it makes sense. It's what's
the
going
Turkey
on. Turkey has
invested in the Zone,
a small
but
piece,
he's also got, you know, the investment in TKO and Paramount. How does that come along? Because that's going back to what Brett was talking about, right? How does that come along? Do you compete against yourself, or do you just say, okay, I want to make this fight here, and I'll make these fights on this side?
I think it's good. It's good to muddy the waters on purpose. You know, keep it a little bit confusing when you're doing these kind of these deals behind, you know, the closed doors. And
hey, Chris,
you know?
Chris, I think you're on to something. I think that sometimes, you know, the waters get muddy, so everybody can't know what the next move is going to be. I think that might be strategic.
Yeah, and
that's why I try not to overthink it and just enjoy the fights.
Exactly.
And not worry about too much of who's doing. I just want to enjoy the fight.
I'm not the conspiratorial thinker. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. But you know, at the end of the day, we're still getting these fights.
Miles Livingston says a lot of people don't know, but the Zone also has the best customer service.
Oh,
I didn't know.
Now you know.
No. Miles, do you work for the Zone?
don't know. I've had some pretty.
AT5040 gives a bunch of laughing emojis. Says best customer service with a bunch of question marks. Like that's so random.
So random. But I remember when DAZN first came over and I think Matchroom signed that big deal. I think they had like $1 billion deal a couple years ago, right?
Who?
Matchroom when they came over
With DAZN?
And then no, there was something to do with. I can't remember what it was. But
What's $1 billion deals? Isn't Paramount and Zufa $1 billion?
I remember.
Is that like the new number to use?
That's the new number. It's 11 billion. I remember being involved because I was with
Dr. Evil.
Yeah, I was with Daniel Jacobs in camp with him, and he was just signed by Matchroom and was fighting on DAZN. And I remember dealing with the DAZN execs, and they didn't really get a handle on boxing at that point yet. They were kind of learning as they were going. It seems they've really turned a corner, and they're very much involved and obviously reaching out to all these different promotions to have them on their air, and they care much more about boxing. Similar to how I feel like Netflix is doing. I feel like Netflix is moving more towards understanding boxing as a viable money earner and putting better fights together.
Yeah. Well, we're certainly with Netflix. You know, they're certainly starting to go into the mainstream of boxing and not just the events, the side job of boxing.
Yeah, because we got the Tyson Fury and Makhmudov.
Question for Robert from Donnie 8956: is Antonio Vargas a fight that's been mentioned for BAM? Vargas has just moved up to 118 pounds. He's a WBA champion, and he's from Texas. That's what that's what 9956 is saying.
The first thing I seen was on social media. When I started seeing that, I made a call to Matchroom, and they did confirm that they have been talking to Vargas, but in reality, we still not decided what we're gonna do with Bam. Bam might stay at 115. One more fight before he fights for undisputed, because he really wants to become undisputed. And now that Maloney is fighting Garcia for the IBF title, so in the meantime, we might do one fight at 115 and to wait for the winner. So before the end of the year, so Bam could fight for undisputed. That's the plan. But they also mentioned that we could go up to 118, fight Vargas, hopefully get that title, and come back down to 115 to fight for undisputed. I was told that they could do that. So we might go that direction. We don't know 100%, but we'll make a decision pretty soon.
So Robert, you're saying Bam is one of your guys who does believe in belts, and belts still matter to him.
Look, Bam loves the idea of being undisputed because he's so close to it now. But when he became a free agent after his last fight, he did tell me, go find what's out there, what's best out there. It doesn't matter. So Zufa did make a huge offer. Luckily, and Matchroom maxed. They maxed, and they're doing their thing now. We're re-signing with Matchroom because they did match. So that, talking to Zufa and all that, that was the direction we were taking, because Bam told me, find me what's out there, and Zufa did come out with a big offer, but Matchroom matched. So now, our next fights will be with Matchroom.
Robert, my question, this Vargas, he's from Texas. There was a Puerto Rican fighter from Texas around bantamweight. He was signed to Box Lab, I remember. He was a Puerto Rican from Orlando. He was around the WBA rankings as well. And I remember he fought in Japan. I think he won the title.
I believe that's him.
I worked. So that kid's not from Texas. So that kid was from Orlando. He's Puerto Rican. No? The kid I'm thinking about. I know Vargas is a common name, but yeah, his name was Vargas, and he was around that bantamweight.
What's his first name?
Fernando? No, not Fernando. I think you said it might have been Antonio. I don't know. Antonio, this one's Antonio, but I don't know which I don't know what the guy from Orlando. I remember because I worked a few Box Lab shows a few years back, and this kid was ascending. He was getting into the WBA top 5. He was at bantamweight. They were talking about him fighting in Japan. Which one is that? Antonio Vargas. That's him, right? Okay. Yeah, that looks like him. Yeah, that kid's Puerto Rican. That kid's from Orlando. I don't think that kid's from Texas.
And you said he was fighting in Japan. Yeah, he fought in Japan. He had a draw in his last fight over in Japan.
Yeah, and he's a bantamweight, right?
Yeah, and he fought at the Carib in Orlando a bunch of times.
Yeah. So that's him. That kid's Puerto Rican, and that kid's an Orlando product. He had a lot of local support in Orlando with the Puerto Rican families.
No, his birthplace was Houston, Texas.
Birthplace is Texas.
But
really?
But he lives in Kissimmee, Florida.
Yeah, okay. And I'm telling you, he's Puerto Rican. The Puerto Ricans were going crazy for that kid. So Puerto Rican born in Texas. We're starting to see a little bit more of that. What's up with that? What's happening over there? Yeah, right? Puerto Ricans are moving to Texas. Is it the Bad Bunny effect? You know what? We got another good comment from Robin Soto. Now there should be no problem making the top rank versus Matchroom versus Golden Boy stable fights like the Xander versus Boots or Emiliano Vargas versus any of the top contenders or champs at 140. You know, it's a good point.
Very good point.
It's a good point. You know, all under the same umbrella, you can make those fights, and that's what I was talking about before. If Zufa stays on their own and Paramount only signs Zufa fighters, while DAZN is jumping in and out with a bunch of different promoters, you have a lot more options to make a lot more fights.
I love the zone thing because listen, the zone is an expensive subscription, and you got to make it worth it. So you have all these other promotions, you're going to get all these fights. So you're not going to feel as bad paying for that monthly subscription when you've got all your favorite fighters in one place. They can really the zone could become the home of boxing with the way it's moving.
I think the zone doing this with Top Rank and putting these promoters together. You know, they have that package where you pay an extra amount of money and you get all 12 pay-per-views. So I think bringing Top Rank along is going to help a lot when it comes to subscriptions. When people are going to be paying all that money to be able to get all those 12 pay-per-views or whatever, you know, something like that they announced. So I think bringing in Top Rank is going to help get a lot more subscribers.
So yeah, these companies are starting to invest in boxing. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Good thing.
And it makes a lot of potential good matchups when everybody's under the same stable as well.
Well, we always talk about this year. We're having a great year. But listen, guys, Robert, Breadman, thank you so much for your time. Always great to hear your insights and get interactions with the fans.
Danny_MERC says, ProBox, great panel, guys. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Danny.
you.
But make sure you guys tune in. This weekend, we got a big fight with Lester Martinez, Manuel Aleem. That's this Saturday.
Could be another big shootout, guys.
Make sure you guys tune in back-to-back weekends.
You don't want to hear about it later and
fights.
go tune in back on YouTube. Watch it live, man. I'm telling you, this could be another one of those big cards. And are we live? We're not live tomorrow.
Tomorrow we're traveling.
We're traveling to California.
But we
will
will
be on. We're going to give you guys a little
stuff for
something. Always give you guys a little something. And then the rest of the week, how are we looking the rest of the week?
We're going to be working
We're still figuring it out, guys. This whole live thing is new.
We're going to be doing live from San Bernardino all week, yes. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, yep.
And we had the press conference live with Lester and Emmanuel Aleem.
So
guys,
stay tuned.
We're still working it out, guys. With your help, give us the tune in, like, subscribe, questions. We'll try to keep up with you. We hope you like this new style of show we do. We're going to keep trying to give it to you.
All right, guys, make sure you tune in. See you guys in a couple days, but don't miss the fight this weekend as well. And for myself, Chris Algieri, and Paulie Malignaggi, see you tomorrow.
Tune in tomorrow. We're not live, though.
Saturday, March 21st, ProBox TV invades the NOS Event Center as Lester Martinez and Emmanuel Aleem battle for the WBC World Super Middleweight title. Palmdale's Joshua Kevin Anton battles the Uzbeki Punisher. LA is in the house as Anthony Too Quick Cuba defends home turf against Brooklyn's Wesley Farrell, while Sam Contreras takes on Cesar Cantu.